fight on the card. We got a lightweight matchup between Islam Makhachev versus Dan Hooker, who is stepping in on a few weeks' notice after fighting last month on the Las Vegas pay-per-view. Uh, Makhachev comes in at 20-1, is the minus 700 favorite, whereas Dan Hooker comes in at 21-10 and is the plus 500 underdog. Makachev has basic striking and is a southpaw. He mainly uses the straight right too and will be more reckless now and having success on his feet in past fights. He uses it to set up his double leg entries. He tends to lean back and to avoid strikes. Islam will pressure his opponents and cut the octagon in half to limit where his opponent can move so he can have better chances for takedown attempts. He has great timing and likes to go for single leg takedowns. Foot sweep is his X factor, and fighters struggle with it. He likes to use his armbar, and he goes for the back of his opponent, and his cardio is very good. Whereas Dan Hooker is a fighter who likes to throw the left hook, jab, and overhand shots. He also uses the front kick, leg kick, and body kick while trying to mix in the shots at times. He has a granite chin, great cardio, but usually only puts out mediocre volume. He has good takedown defense and has a good background in kickboxing, Muay Thai, and BJJ. And he tends to take too much damage at times, but knows how to attack his opponents. Jim, how do you feel about this fight, and who do you have winning?
This is a great matchup, and huge props to Dan Hooker for taking it. Hooker's an accurate fighter, like you said, and he's a very durable fighter, but he is hittable. We saw that with the Michael Chandler fight, where Chandler clipped that granite chin and put him to sleep. Islam is a more accurate striker and has
Yeah,
better striking defense. You would think like that big, huge head that Makhachev has, it would be very hittable, but it's not. Like he's very good with his head movement. The thing that separates these two is the relentless takedowns of Makhachev's. Hooker's got really good takedown defense. I think it's like 86%, but he's
yeah.
never gone up against someone like Islam Makhachev, which I think is going to be the difference maker. And I think that's what everybody thinks is going to happen. I think he averages about 4 takedowns per fight. He's going to get a lot of takedowns. He's not. I don't think Islam's going to stand there and trade with Hooker. I think he's going to look to get him with a single leg, smother him, grind him out, try to shoot for submissions, that armbar that you were talking about. Hooker's an absolute savage, and definitely a savage for taking this fight. But I don't see him getting the win, unfortunately, because I really do like Dan Hooker. I'm going to go with Islam getting the decision win.
This was tough for me because of course you got that big minus 700 number right there, and it's like
Yeah.
it's just pointing to Makachev. But then I look at Hooker, and it's like he just fought a month ago, and he looked really sharp doing that. And then with
Yep.
the striking, it tells you he doesn't put out a lot of volume. What does he do? He goes out and puts a good amount of volume in that fight that people thought that he might lose, and he looked really. I wouldn't say I would cruise to say he looked dominant doing it. And
Yep.
you take the 2 fights before that, and that's against top 5 guys in Michael Chandler, who knocked him out. But
Yep.
then he put out that savage performance in a loss where he barely lost uh, to Dustin
Poirier.
Diamond Poirier, who is fighting for the title now. They went to war, and
Yep.
neither of them got knocked out. They just kept on going at it. That probably one of my favorite fights of the past couple of years. And like you say, he's relentless with the takedowns. I thought he looked kind of, even though he won, I thought he looked kind of lackluster against Tiago Moises,
Yeah.
who barely broke the top 15. Dan Hooker is a top 10 fighter who's only lost really to top 10 guys. If you look at it,
Yeah.
in Poirier and uh, yeah, Poirier and whatnot,
Chandler.
Chandler, yeah, Chandler, and I could see a situation where if it's not Makachev by decision, I could see Dan Hooker beating him by knockout.
Wow.
I could see it happen because he has that ability to just pour out that volume, and I think he's going to use a lot of the kickboxing to keep the distance, and it's going to be able to kind of keep an eye out for those takedown attempts, and then he's going to try and time them with
Yep.
strikes. And
Okay.
uh, the one thing he needs to watch out for is when he throws the leg kicks. He has to hope that Makhachev doesn't catch them and drive him
Yep.
down. But if there's a guy that can take a beating, it's Hooker, and I don't think the
Yep.
striking of Makhachev is on the level that people say it is. I think he's just that really good with the grappling and the takedowns because of the background. Of course, yeah, he's a protege of Habib. We got a
Yeah.
couple of them. We actually got like two or three proteges on this card.
Yep.
Two in the main card and one on the prelims on the opener. And this could wind up being the fight of the night, to be honest, because
Yeah.
the
It's a good one.
contrast in styles. I'm gonna go crazy here. I'm gonna go with Dan Hooker by a third round knockout.
I don't think it's that crazy. Like a lot of people are riding the Islam train
Yeah,
because he has just dominated a lot of his fighters. But again, he hasn't really gone up against top 10 fighters. The
I was gonna
closest one
say.
was what, Drew Dober
Well, he has two, Drew Dober, and then in
and Moises.
Armand, and well that, and then he barely beat Armand to Shorkin, who is in the
Oh
top
yeah,
15 now. He barely beat him in Armand's debut in the UFC. And
yeah,
Armand's gotten better since then. And he wants that rematch. So, which could happen in the future. But I really haven't seen him fight like a pure striker like Dan Hooker. The closest one is Moises. That's the
yeah.
closest
But
one that you could say.
yeah, and his BJJ was really good too. So I think that's why there was a lackluster performance on Islam's behalf. A
Yeah,
lot of the top 10 have been kind of ducking Islam. That's what he's been saying. Nobody wants him. Dos
yeah.
Anjos doesn't want him, blah, blah, blah. And then here's Hooker. He's like, yeah, I'll fight you. I don't want to, if I'm going to isolate him, I better get paid for it. So I'm not mad at your pick. I could see it happening, but it's hard to bet against Makhachev in this one.
I think it's a good thing to I think it's a positive too that he fought a month ago because he has that
Yep.
adrenaline. He just fought, so and then he just goes right back into training like he just fought. So it's not like he has that dead time. It was like I got a quarantine for 17 days to go back anyway.
Yep.
So if I'm gonna be here, I might as well take a fight, get paid, and because I'm gonna be here that long anyway. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like a
And he's
win-win for him.
Yeah, and he's training at the PI, so he's
Yeah,
getting different looks from different fighters who are coming in, and
yeah.
that good sparring rounds with top level contenders. So yeah, it's a win-win. This fight in general, like this is a fantastic matchup. Super pumped for this one.
But definitely, before we get going, pin this fight as possible fight of the night because I think it's going
Yeah.
to be up there in the swing of things.